motorsports associations. These are American sedans, and they are real honkers, let me tell you. There are some 8-cylinder and 6-cylinder engines in here, and one of the interesting features of this form of motor racing is that one of the strong drives by the Kelly people is to involve more women in motor racing. And we've got some women competing here, including Kathy Roode, who is on the inside of the second row for the start of this race. The field is out getting ready for the beginning of what will be a 30-minute race. The laps don't count, just the minutes. On the front row will be Vern Smith in a Chevy Camaro. Next to him, Gene Felton, who just blew everybody away for years in this series, had a tough year so far this year also in the Camaro. Second row, Kathy Roode. And beside her will be Rob McFarland. Kathy in a Pontiac Grand Am and Rob in a Mustang. Row 3, Tom Eastham in a Camaro and Gary English in a Camaro. The Camaro has dominated this series pretty much the way the Mazdas do, the one you just saw. In the fourth row, Charles Pells in a Buick Skylark and Lynn St. James in a Capri. Row 5, Rex Houghton in a Malibu and Bob Penrod in a Mustang. The Mustangs get a weight advantage because they have a smaller engine. David Price in a Camaro and Buzz Dyer in a Concorde in row 6. Row 7, Fitzpatrick in a Mustang and Irv Pierce in an AMC Spirit. The 8th row, John Irish in a Spirit and Kat Kaiser in a Spirit. 3 women competing here, and on the last row, Tommy Riggins in a Camaro, who did not turn in a time, and I'm not certain that he will be competing here. We'll see in just a moment. The safety car leading them down through the back section of the course. That is the turn 7-8 area, a high-speed section. The field working their tires in. We've got, that's McFarland's car you saw there, the white, black, and red Mustang. The blue car on the inside in the second row, driven by young Kathy Roode from the state of Washington. That's a big car, and she's a little girl. But she managed that car around this circuit qualifying just beautifully. The field is all over the place as they
Gene Felton jumps the gun.
They got the green flag anyway, so Felton is out in front for the start of the race. And Vern Smith, and what a gang war we got going down turn 1, down the home straight into turn 1. It's Felton out in front and Vern Smith in second. They had a tremendous duel last week at Sears Point, and they are beginning like they're going to do it again around turn 1 to turn 2. That's Felton out in front. From Atlanta, Georgia, Vern Smith, the Pennsylvanian, who is leading the point standings in this series in second place. It looks like McFarland may have jumped up into third place in that Mustang. The Camaro on the lead on the first lap of this 30-minute race.
Rob McFarland actually pressured Kathy Roode and sort of forced her out of turn 1. Kathy got the jump on Rob McFarland, but by aggressive driving, Rob was able to squeeze her off and hold third place. Kathy Roode is running a Pontiac Grand Am, a little more horsepower than Rob McFarland, so we'll see if she can retain that position.
Lynn St. James has moved up into fourth place, standing at fifth is Gary English, and Kathy Roode has dropped back considerably. Out of turn 9, onto the home straight. That straightaway is 7/8 of a mile long, and look at Smith. Just
oh my God! Something must have happened there to Gene Felton. Yep, something's happened to Gene Felton. Boy, has this been an absolutely dismal year for Gene Felton. Won every single Kelly American Challenge race last year and has had nothing but bad luck this year. So that puts Vern Smith into the lead. Rob McFarland in a small cubic inch Ford Mustang second, followed by Kathy Roode in third position.
Talked to Rob this morning, and he said in morning practice the car went about a half a second quicker than it did in qualifying. The key for Rob is to try to stay with that Camaro of Vern Smith. Try to draft him down that long back straight because, as Bergie pointed out, he is down on horsepower. If he can do that, coming off it all the way through, coming off at turn 9, he might have a shot at it. We will have to wait and see, quite obviously. But Gene Felton's luck has been nothing but rotten. Even in qualifying, when he won the pole, very shortly after he got the pole, the darn thing, the fuel pump failed on him. McFarland right up behind Vern Smith going into 9. Beautiful drive by McFarland. That is a very tough turn, and Lynn St. James is hanging in there too in third place. See the draft. As they get farther and farther down that straight, it is critical that McFarland stay with him. And Lynn St. James, and here comes McFarland on the inside. the Mustang challenging the Camaro, and Rob McFarland moves into first place. Can you believe it?
Fantastic. 330 cubic inches. He got off turn 9 well and shot down there.
And Lynn St. James is hanging on to the back end of Vern Smith now. And there's Felton's car in the pit.
Felton in the pits. Maybe Mike Brockman's down there and can pick up a little bit of dialogue and find out what the problem is.
There's the leader. First race he has led this year, Rob McFarland in the Mustang. Now, he was the winner of another IMSA series last year, the Racing Sedan Series. Looking underneath the car, and that looks grim, Bertie.
Yeah, that doesn't look good.
Not tires. Not changing out. Coming down the back straight. McFarland about 10 car lengths over Vern Smith. Lynn St. James is hanging in there. English in fourth. In fifth is Charles Fells, and sixth, Kathy Roode, who started in third position. That's what experience teaches you, that start. When the green flag gets out, you've got to be ready. McFarland leading the field.
Right at the moment, the Ford people have to be pretty happy. We have Rob McFarland in his Ford Mustang first.
And here comes Lynn St. James.
Chevrolet Camaro second, and Lynn St. James has moved her Mercury Capri from 8th position into 3rd.
What a drive by that young lady. She's a good shoe. She's got a considerable amount of racing experience. That's McFarland's Mustang, white, red, and black, beautifully prepared. His crew chief, Will Moody, does some kind of job. And they have been struggling.
Remember, the Mustangs have a little bit of advantage here. 330 cubic inches. The car only has to weigh 10 pounds per cubic inch. So Vern Smith with a 400 cubic inch car is weighing 4,000 pounds. Lynn St. James weighs 3,300, and Rob McFarland weighs 2,800. So there's quite a difference on weight on these cars.
McFarland leading him into turn 9. Smith in second. St. James running in third. Gary English holding on to fourth. Vern Smith holding on to McFarland as tight as he can. Now, Bergie, that Mustang's a lot smaller car, just in its outline, its silhouette, than Smith's car is. Now, can Smith draft as well off of that car? Well, that answers my question. Wheel to wheel. And yeah. Vern Smith moves back into first place. Now, that's just flat power, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. That's where 450 horsepower will show up over 325.
You can see the much tighter line that McFarland takes through turns 1 and 2.
Now, in this particular sequence right through here, you can see that Rob McFarland probably has a little edge on handling. Also, another thing that happens to Vern Smith's car, if he keeps driving it extremely hard, which of course he has to, sometimes he can get the tires so hot, the tires start to go away.
Gene Felton is back out on the circuit, but way, way behind. Tough racing. Perennial Southern American Challenge victor.
Vern Smith set a qualifying record of 1:13, which was a pretty darn fast time. He and Gene Felton were pretty close, but they had a full second on Kathy Roode and Rob McFarland.
That's a speed of 94.4 miles an hour around a very, very tight circuit. St. James running the third is all right there. McFarland staying with Vern Smith, who has retaken the lead. Kathy Roode has now moved up to 5th position, so he's trying to overcome that really pretty bad start that she had. Down the home straight they come under overcast skies, cool temperatures, which means the track won't be as slippery, and Smith trying to pull away from Rob McFarland.
Vern Smith is trying hard to break that draft to Rob McFarland. He wants to get out away from him so Rob can't tuck in underneath his rear spoiler and be sucked down the straightaway. If Vern can do that, he should be able to extend his lead a little bit and leave Rob McFarland and Lynn St. James to battle it out in the 2 Ford products.
Once he shakes him loose, he may never be catchable. But it's a heavy car. There are some very tight portions on this track, and you have to use extreme caution in those portions with that big, heavy car. The cool temperatures will be working to the Camaro's advantage, no question about that. Looking at the back of McFarland, and there's some of the crowd, and a very good crowd on hand. They were expecting a record today at Portland International Raceway.
Good shot of Vern Smith coming down the back straight, turning into turn 8, coming around to turn 9, one of the most difficult parts of the course. Here's a sweeper leading onto the straightaway. Rob McFarland's trying to stay close. Lynn St. James dropped back just a little bit. I believe that Gary English in the Chevrolet Camaro is running
fourth position.
Is it fourth?
Yes. English is fourth. And Smith now is starting to put away the little Mustang of Rob McFarland. Rob from Dallas, Texas, actually maintains two addresses, Dallas and Sunnyvale, California. You can see the back end almost breaks loose when he goes around that first turn. And if it ever gets loose, it's trouble. Putting a lap on John Irish of San Rafael, California. He's driving a Spirit.
The Kelly American Challenge is a very interesting race series. This year they've allowed the Chevy Camaros to come in and enter it. Now you've got a lot of good competitors building very competitive cars for this series. They go faster than they used to. They're real true race cars, and next year there's quite a few competitors going to enter this series. You can actually make some money in the Kelly American Challenge because you can build one of these cars for a little bit less than what it costs to run a top GT car.
Vern Smith out in front, Rob McFarland in second. Lynn St. James and Tire smoking around now. And on to the home straight. Vern Smith out in front, almost 9 minutes into this 30-minute race. Rob McFarland in second, back at Portland in just a moment. At Portland International Raceway, I'm Bob Steinbrink with Bob Bergstrom. Don't forget Sports Center on ESPN throughout the day. 30-minute editions several times every day and night, Monday through Saturday at 7 p.m. Eastern Time, Sunday at 11. A full 60 minutes of Sports Center to keep you right up to date with the latest happening. Sports Center on ESPN. We are now 10 minutes into this 30-minute Kelly American Challenge race at Portland International Raceway. You're looking at the leader, Vern Smith. Behind him, Rob McFarland. Smith in a big, heavy, powerful Camaro. McFarland driving a little Mustang. Still running in third place, Lynn St. James.
Kathy Roode has moved into fourth with her Pontiac Grand Am, so you have girls right now running in third and fourth.
To the delight of Connie Goodenough, I'm sure, who is the coordinator of this series for Kelly. That's McFarland's car running in second place around turn one. Pretty wide line that time.
Nice, pretty race car. That Ford Mustang has a nice configuration. Rob's done a beautiful setup on his car. The Control Shock company, which Rob is a partner of, is a sponsor of the car. Rob has a saying he likes to use. He wants to see everybody under control.
Yes, and everybody behind him.
Yes.
He is a very talented driver. You haven't heard much about him this year because they have been thrashing with the car. But Rob is a very, very capable race car.
Oh, yes, he won the RS Series here a year ago.
Vern Smith going into turn 9. He's already put a lap on Irv Pierce driving over. And McFarland gets caught behind Pierce, now gets underneath him at 9 as Smith goes on to the home straightaway. That is a long haul, and it is to the advantage of the more powerful engine. No question about that.
The 400 cubic inch engine does show up on these straightaways.
Track conditions appear to be good. Gene Felton, who was the pole sitter, had a problem on the very first lap. Had to come into the pits. Here's another car in the pits. Charles Pells from Marshall, Texas, driving a Buick Skylark. Has come in, and in a 30-minute race, if you're in the pits, you are in the pits. Now 12 minutes into this 30-minute race. Changing right side tires, it looks like. It's an unusual color for a car, yellow and brown. I don't see many yellow-brown race cars in any form of motor racing. Fells was a late entry here. They may be changing rubber, both front or maybe the right rear. He could have cut one.
Yeah, for sure he didn't come in for a tire change unless that tire has gone flat. There's a good shot of Vern Smith coming down into turn 8, going by the crowd up on the hillside.
And about to put a lap.
Entering onto the drag strip. going down the 9/10 of a mile straightaway. I am guessing this Chevrolet Camaro probably has a terminal speed of around 150 at the end of that straightaway.
Kathy Roode trying to move up through the field. Got a bad start, but has picked off a couple of cars and is now up to 4th. That surface there down at the end of the home straightaway is a little bit bumpy.
Kathy Roode has an unusual situation here. She is driving the Pontiac Grand Am that is owned by Clay Young. And there's a picture of Kathy Roode. You may notice that they've had to move the seat forward in that car, and Kathy is sitting almost on top of the steering wheel. She's only 23 years old, 5'4", a cute little girl. Very, very well liked by all the competitors. On the racetrack, they treat her like a man, which is the only way she wants it, but she's a very aggressive little driver. She's heading for Japan next week to drive over there in a racing series with Mr. Katayama. We had a chance to talk to Kathy Roode a little bit earlier in the day, and we'll try and get that interview for you shortly.
Kathy, a swimmer, horsewoman, and a real talent, no question about that. That's the David Price car. It's almost a local car from Salem, Oregon, a Camaro. Camaros really are the power of the series, but the Mustang showing awfully well here today. That's Price. He is in the top 10, but not a contender for the lead. Nice paint job on the car. And it's got to be fun for the local drivers to have a chance to get out and run with professionals who travel all over the country like Vern Smith from York, Pennsylvania. And that's Vern in the number 77 Camaro. 6 seconds between Smith and the second place car, Rob McFarland, who hung in there as long as he could. The power finally took its toll. Smith is a very smooth driver. This year at Lime Rock, he had to come in because of a cut tire, but he still came back out. He had to pit to replace the tire, but still got back out and just did nip Bob Overby for the title. Rob McFarland running in second place. Smith has lapped a number of the cars in the field and is about to lap some more. Does a lot of his own work. He believes in traveling with the smallest crew possible. That way he knows who's going to do what, and everybody knows his own responsibility. He told me he just doesn't like to haul a crowd around. It's expensive for one thing, but it simplifies the operation, in his opinion. And that simplified operation seems to be working very, very well. Vern is well out in front in the Kelly point standing so far this year. This is the 5th stop. They have 5 more races in 1981.
Here's something interesting. I noticed that Kathy Roode has slipped into 3rd position ahead of Lynn St. James.
Kathy Roode driving a beautiful race after a bad start. We talked to Kathy Roode in the garage area earlier in... Kathy, you qualified in the inside of the 2nd row. Did it surprise you went that well?
Well, actually, I was hoping to go a little bit faster, but we had a problem with overheating tires, so we didn't go as fast as I had hoped and as we had in practice.
This racetrack is very busy this weekend with a lot of things going on, and it gets a little slippery. Does that scare you, make you nervous at all?
Well, no, not at all. I won a Formula Ford race here several years ago, so I've driven this track a lot, and I know pretty much what to expect throughout the race. And so I'm aware of it, and I'll be cautious. It doesn't bother me.
You're a horsewoman, a swimmer, and a race driver who started in karts as so many did. What's your favorite sport?
Racing cars right now. I do like swimming. I swim every day to keep in shape. But I love racing cars. There isn't anything that compares to it for me now.
Well, I think you've shown this weekend as well as others that you got a great future.
Oh, thank you very much. I like...
That's Kathy Roode, who is now in 2nd place. You're looking at Rob McFarland's car. It looked like the engine let go as he came into turn 9. He just went right off on the pit road into the pits, and the hood is up. A tough break for Rob McFarland, who was driving a very, very strong race, running in 2nd place. Mike Brockman is down to the pits.
Rob McFarland here. Rob, can you tell me what happened?
Well, everything was running real good, and then for about the last 5 laps, I started to notice that the water temperature was starting to rise up and then come down. And it was an indication that we'd blown a head gasket, and so I started trying to feather it a little bit down the straight or run not as much full throttle into turns to try and save the engine, but obviously it just wasn't enough. And when I came into this last turn, big puff of smoke, you just got to shut it down and coast in. That's it.
That was it. Back to you, Bob.
Thank you, Mike. A very tough break for Rob McFarland. That moves Kathy Roode up into second place. And Lynn St. James not that far behind her in third. Running fourth is Tom Easton. And I think we may be getting a little slippery stuff here on the entrance to turn 9, Bob.
Yeah, down in turn 8, we've seen a couple cars go off the track. The camera's on car 66 right now. He just went through the grass for a short distance.
That's English, and he did it for the second time. Tom Easton also got off the grass there. Vern Smith coming around the back section, and he's going to have to travel with caution coming into that area. But we have women drivers running second and third now, and we are just over 18 and a half minutes into this 30-lap race, a 30-minute race. With Vern Smith out in front, Kathy Roode in second, and Lynn St. James running third. Now these big cars are really stressed going around this circuit. That's Kathy, standing in second place.
Sitting on top of the steering wheel.
Holding on for dear life. A dear lady. That's Gene Felton. He was on the pole. Trouble in the very start of the race, and the car is nowhere near competitive. Smith went around him with the greatest of ease a little while ago. Into the pits, Tom Easton, a local driver from Portland. He is in a Camaro. And we'll see if Lynn St. James is going to be able to close up on Kathy Roode. We may have ourselves a real fight for second place before it's all over. Working over the Easton car. In a short race, anytime at all in the pits, and it's just write it off. Vern Smith.
Vern Smith doesn't look like he's having any trouble at all, Bob. That car looks good. It's not smoking. He hasn't locked up the tire yet for turn 9. It's running very good. He knows that he can use that horsepower to his advantage, and he can stay ahead of Kathy Roode. Doesn't have to push the car. There's a good shot at Kathy Roode right now. If the camera picks it up, you might notice that the grill is damaged on Kathy's car, so she must have bumped somebody a little bit earlier.
Probably at the start.
Yeah, very, very possibly.
Because that was a birdshot start, let me tell you. They were all over the place.
Kathy is not very ladylike on the racetrack. The other competitors enjoy that. She's very aggressive. Sometimes you set yourself up for a turn, and gosh darn it, there's that little 5'4" 23-year-old inside, just where you want to be.
Vern Smith going down the home straightaway. Almost a mile long, almost as long as Brainerd's. And he's got traffic in front of him, but Kathy is not pressing him at this point. Cars are widely scattered on the circuit now, but a fight may develop in second place before we are all done. Vern with less than 10 minutes remaining in the race now, and a good healthy lead of about 10 seconds. Has to maintain pace to maintain concentration, but he also has to maintain good care of that car. He won the race a week ago at Sears Point, had quite a duel going with Gene Felton on that very tight circuit, got around him with just a couple of laps to go, and won that race to extend his lead in the series.
There's a good picture of Lynn St. James with a very pretty number 7 Mercury Capri. Actually, Lynn and Kathy are running pretty close together. Kathy's not able to pull out any distance on Lynn, and Lynn's hanging right on her bumper. I think she's about 2 seconds behind, but the distance has not changed at all.
With 8.5 minutes to go in the race, Lynn St. James, who has her own motor parts business down in her hometown in Florida, as well as being a professional race driver, and she could make a very good living as a model. She is a beautiful woman. Very articulate, very enthusiastic about the Kelly series. We'd like to see it grow and grow, and the Kelly people tell us that it is their intention to keep this series going, get more and more cars involved, because it is very popular with the fans. They identify with these stock cars, the kind of cars they drive, the kinds of cars they see on the street. Vern Smith coming up behind a slower car there. That's Buzz Dyer that he is about to lap. We've got a car off the circuit.
That looks to me like that could be Gary English. Is that 66 in the side of that car, Bob?
Yeah, he's been smoking. He has been smoking. There's been smoke coming out of the back, so he may have spun in his...
Probably spun in his own oil.
His own oil. If he, and it looked like he was burning a little more oil than he wanted. A lot of blue smoke was coming out behind the car, but he is back on the circuit. It may have been Tom Eastman. The two cars, 66 and 68, are both white Camaros. And the number is so close. There is a white Camaro, having no problem whatsoever. Put a lap on Dyer and Charles Pells as he continued through turn 9. Coming up on 7 minutes remaining in this 30-minute Kelly American Challenge race at Portland Raceway. Those are the standings with 7 minutes remaining at Portland. We'll be back to Portland in just a moment.
It's Clay Young, the owner of Kathy Roode's car, who normally drives the car.
The latest scores, highlights, interviews, all the news from the world of the sports brought to you throughout the day on ESPN Sports Center. 30-minute editions several times, day and night, Monday through Saturday at 7 Eastern Time, and Sunday at 11, a full 60 minutes of Sports Center to keep you up to date on all the happenings. What is happening here, that's the Easton car. That was the car that spun off the circuit, has been putting out some smoke. What is happening here at Portland, as we have 5.5 minutes remaining in this Kelly American Challenge, is Vern Smith is well out in front of Kathy Roode, and Lynn St. James standing in 3rd position. Gary English is in 4th. Let's go to Mike Brockman in the pits talking to Clay Young, the owner of the car Kathy is driving.
Clay, tell me about the car that Kathy's driving. She's doing a heck of a job.
Yeah, she's doing a real good job. Looked like her and Charlie Pells got together on about the 2nd lap and banged up the left side of the car. We're a little bit worried that looks like she's fighting it a little bit. Looks like the back end's got loose. Maybe it tapped the front end out of the line a little bit, but she's lost about a half second, a lap or so, or maybe 3/4 to what she can run, and we're just kind of a little concerned about it.
Okay, back to you, Bob.
Thank you, Mike. And there's Kathy, hunched over the wheel. She could put a lot of people or cargo in that car. She doesn't take up much space in it. Working her way around the turns. That's the leader, Vern Smith, coming onto the home straightaway. He's just been picking off cars right and left. We now have less than 4.5 minutes remaining in this 30-minute race. Car tucking up there, trying to draft to maintain speed. And Vern Smith does not have to resort to that. Puts his foot down and goes.
Unless something unusual happens, I can say that Vern Smith will probably win this race. And he has dominated the Kelly American Challenge this year in a similar way that Gene Felton dominated it last year.
He certainly is dominant today. He has 64 points coming into this race. Craig Carter and Bob Overby, neither of them here in 2nd and 3rd place. Clay Young, whose car Kathy is driving as you see her go around the circuit, stands in 4th place. Lynn St. James is in 5th place. So Lynn, running in 3rd position right now, can help herself considerably. That's Lynn in the Capri. She has very high hopes for that car and for that racing program, and well, she should. An articulate spokesman for this series, for motor racing in general. And as we told you, she's been at it for a while. She knows something about automobiles besides just how to drive them.
Yeah, Lynn gets involved in that development program in the Mercury Capri. She does have quite a bit of input. She's driven enough cars that when she gets out of the car and says that something's handling right or it isn't handling right, the mechanic tends to believe what she says.
Vern Smith from York, Pennsylvania, and he's 39 years old. Doesn't look it, wears glasses. This is his 4th year of IMSA competition. Switched to the Camaro this year. He was 3rd overall in the series in '79, got the Most Improved Driver award that year. And this year, that promise is bearing fruit. We now have less than 2.5 minutes to go in the series. Kathy Roode running in 2nd place, Clay Young's car. Kathy from the state of Washington and Clay Young from Smyrna, Georgia. That's about as far apart as you can. And there was some damage to the left side of the Pels car, so they may have collected each other a little bit. The Lynn St.
There's
James
a good
Capri.
shot of Lynn St. James coming around in her 330 cubic inch, 400 horsepower car. We had a chance to talk to Lynn St. James just a little bit earlier. Let's see if we can
We'll
get that interview later on.
We'll try to get that later on as Vern Smith, with less than 2 minutes to go, works his way down that home straight again. He is just blowing people away. Big lead over Kathy Roode in 2nd place and Lynn St. James in 3rd. Trying to hang with him a lap down. That looks like the Pels car back out, but way down. And now, whoops,
Something
Smith
doesn't
slowing
look
down.
right there. That doesn't look so good.
Pels got around him with the greatest of ease. Now that's hard to believe. He looks.
Also, Pels looks to me like he might be moving away from him.
Vern, well, race drivers don't slow down on purpose.
No, that
He might have missed a shift or something, because he looks
could
like.
easily have happened, yes.
But he was so much faster. There's St. James. She's running in 3rd place. If there is trouble in that car, less than a minute to go now, and Smith well out in front.
Yeah, something must have happened to Vern there that was not apparent. He may have missed a shift.
Timing is everything here. He's coming onto the home straight. We have just over 30 seconds to go. If he crosses the line before 30 minutes are up, he'll have to go around one more time, and if something's wrong with the car, that's trouble. He's got to go around one more time. Let's watch him. Tires seem to be okay. The handling after that pass by Pels seemed to be okay. Kathy Roode in 2nd place is well back. So if there is something wrong with Vern Smith's car, it's going to have to develop into a major problem for Kathy to catch it. Around 1, 2.
Looks okay there, Bob. I
Yeah,
don't
he
think
does.
there's any kind of a handling problem.
Could have missed a shift and just gotten a little bit out of the line, but it looks very healthy now. 30-minute mark has passed, so next time by he'll get the checkered. Kathy in 2nd place, and
Look where
pushing
St.
her
James is in relation to Kathy Roode. That's a
St.
pretty
James
good race.
right behind Kathy Roode. That's Roode in the number 10 car, and there is a red Capri looking down her muffler.
I think we might see that.
Muffler.
We might see that 330 cubic inch Ford Mustang see a few more revs than what it normally does on this back straight, because Lynn St. James knows that she's going to move into 2nd position. She's got to do it now.
She has 1 second in her career in Kelly racing, the highest finish ever by a woman, so Kathy Roode, if she can hold on, can match that. Here is Smith coming onto the home straightaway for the last time in anger. Should get the checkered flag, this time by the stand. He does. Now the battle will shape up for 2nd place as Lynn St. James tries to reel in the blue car, the number 10 car being driven by Kathy Roode, that Pontiac Grand Am. There's Smith on his cool down lap. He has got the win collected. And
Vern Smith grabs another 20 points. Another $3,500 lines his pocket courtesy of the Kelly American Challenge. The women's bonus gives $1,000 for 1st place woman, $600 for 2nd. Kathy Roode, who looks like she came in 2nd, will get $1,700 for 2nd place, plus a women's bonus of $1,000. So she made $2,750 for 30 minutes work. Not too bad for a little tiny girl.
Pretty good payday for 23 years old.
You bet. Lynn St. James will pick up $1,600 for her efforts this afternoon.
And Gary English battled his way to 4th place with a sometimes bulky car. So Vern Smith wins another one in the Kelly American Challenge. And he is, as you pointed out, he is doing to this series this year what Gene Felton did last year. Vern is now on the entry to the pits to pick up a checkered flag and make one more tour and accept the plaudits of the race crews here. and the fans. Vern is a pretty quiet-spoken guy, very articulate, but not at all demonstrative in the way that Lee Mueller, who won the earlier race, is. He'll smile, but he may spray a little champagne, but he's pretty low. There's the number 1 and 2 cars, Vern Smith and Kathy Roode. She has to be just thrilled.
Oh, that's a nice finish for Kathy. It's a darn nice finish for Lynn St. James, too. Both those gals drove really well.
And a particularly good drive by Kathy because she did not get a good start. She fell back to 6th place after starting in 3rd position and worked her way back up. Rob McFarland put on a good drive until the car went away on him.
If what Clay Young says is true, which I'm sure it is, if Kathy Roode had a little bump earlier in the race, which her grill indicated that she did, I'm sure that she drove a lap or two at a slower rate of speed, checking out the car, making sure there was no problem with the suspension. And that's probably the point where she went from 3rd place on the grid back to about 7th. After she found out it was okay, then she moved up through the field and did a good job. There's a good shot of Kathy Roode.
Very bright drive.
Jumping up and down.
Indeed. That's nice to see. It's great for the series. It's great for motor racing. Most of all, it's great for Kathy Roode. Her best finish ever, and only the 2nd woman to finish as high as 2nd in a professional motor race. The celebration is beginning as Vern Smith takes his victory lap. That's the way they finished. We will be back at Portland for the celebration in just a moment.